So welcome to the masterclass, guys. Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon. I believe the others are just joining in. Just let me see. Yeah. Okay, let's get started, guys, without any more delay. So what are we going to discuss in today's masterclass? We'll be focusing on UAT, user acceptance testing. We will also discuss use case diagrams and data flow diagrams. So techniques chapter, we have covered majority of the chapter, 80% of the chapter is done. There are some handful techniques we have not discussed so far. So we will take a look at those techniques. Okay. So that will be the prime focus of today's session. Let me just quickly, I want each one of you to log into Business Analysis Hub because I want to show you the user acceptance testing test plan and the test cases. So do log in, guys, and we'll get started. So what is user acceptance testing? UAT or user acceptance testing is a phase where your business users start testing the application. So typically, amongst the different phases that we have, whether it's waterfall or agile, there is different levels of testing we have to understand. When a software is built, it's not one level of testing, but there are several levels of testing that are done by different stakeholders in the project. First level of testing is the unit testing. Unit testing. This testing is done by the developers themselves. So suppose you are the developer who is building the registration form, then you will be responsible for writing the code for the registration form as well as testing it to see if the registration form is actually working or not. So that's unit testing, wherein single pieces of code are tested in individual machines. Okay. The next level of testing is called the system integration testing or SIT testing. Let me just share a Word document and write all of this together so that you don't forget. No. So I first told you about unit testing. So this is done by your software developers. Then I spoke about integration testing, short form SIT. This is done by whom, guys? How many of you know SIT testing is done by whom? Who does SIT testing? Yes, that's correct. The response, it's done by the quality team. Then we have a third level of testing called as UAT testing. This is done by business users. So this is the flow that goes on, guys. First level of testing by developers. Then the code is pushed into a SIT server, system integration testing server, where all the modules are put all together. That means if I'm working on the registration form, I will put the registration form. If Peter is working on the login form, he will put the login. And then someone is working on the search engine. All of them will put their code in one single server on the same day, and SIT testing will start from that day onwards. So in the project plan, the PM has clearly defined when when the code should be ready for SIT testing. So those dates are given to everybody. So everyone in the team is very clear as to by when they have to complete the code and give it to the quality team to test. So in SIT, the quality team does the testing and um, approves it. If the code is not having any issues, they approve it. After which the code is moved to the UAT server. The UAT server is where your business users or your customers, they start testing the application. Now, why do we need business users to test the application? Because they are the final authority, right? Who can say whether you have built the software as per their requirement or not. So they have to do testing. So once UAT testing is completed by customer is happy, we have something called as the UAT sign off. We receive a UAT sign off from the customer, after which code is passed on to the production server. Production server is where finally the code will reside, and the business users can start using that particular feature. They can start using the application. So what is the BA's role in UAT? BA's role in UAT is to primarily program manage the entire phase. To see to it, if the business users are facing any issues, then to address those issues. Okay. Now, in some project, it also works in a slightly different way. Understand, take a note of this, guys. In some project, the UAT phase is split into two. We have something called as BA UAT, and we have then the business user UAT. In some of the projects that I worked on, in some of the banking projects which were relatively complex, we had kept this additional check that UAT phase will be divided into two. The first phase will consist of BA UAT, and the second phase will consist of the business user UAT. Now, this is not followed in all projects. Many of the projects, UAT means just business user testing. Okay, keep a note of that. Now, in this case, what used to happen, as a BA, I was expected to test the application for a couple of days. So let's say, for example, the UAT starts on the 15th of December. So as a BA, I'm supposed to do testing from 15 to the 17th, 15, 16, 17, 3 days I do testing. After which I can invite the business users for testing once I am happy. So we used to follow this additional step in our project because our application has its own set of issues. We had several times we had seen that even though our quality team tested the application, approved everything, and put it in UAT, still the business users they logged in several defects. So our projects had several critical checkpoints to ensure that business users should not be able to encounter a single defect. So if you in UAT business users raise a defect, that means it's very bad quality that has been delivered. So it was if that is the case in UAT experiences a lot of defects. There were a lot of questions raised on the BA as well as the testing team. Why this particular scenario wasn't tested? Was it a requirement error? Was a requirement missed by the BA? So there are stringent checks. That's the reason UAT phase has to be closely monitored by a BA. Now, what does a BA do in the UAT phase? Okay. Meanwhile, as I'm explaining, guys, I want you guys to go to Business Analysis Hub and open the UAT test plan. Okay. And I'm going to write here on the screen the responsibilities of a BA during UAT. Okay. So what I used to do a couple of days before the start of UAT, that's what I'm going to tell you. First, step number 1, take a note of this. Create a UAT test plan. And we'll go through the test plan to see what it contains. This will be your first step. Create UAT test cases. These two documents, guys, should be ready before the UAT starts, not after UAT starts. Okay. Let me also mention this before start so that you're not confused. So a couple of days before start of UAT, do this. Now schedule a UAT demo with business users. 1 or 2 days before start now. Why is UAT demo given? How many of you agree that UAT demo should be given to business users? If you type agree in the chat box if you agree with it. Several small projects I have not seen them following this particular practice. Business users start UAT haphazardly, due to which what happens is, guys, business users log in the wrong issues. Okay, so you might have experienced if you're already working as a BA on the ground. many times business users raise issues in Jira, and which might not be an issue itself, which is not a defect. They have they've clicked on the wrong button or gone to the wrong URL, and they put a snapshot over there saying that, oh, I got a page cannot be displayed. This is a defect. Many times, it's more of a training error, or you have not familiarized your business user with the application. That's the reason they're logging these issues. That is the reason. If this is being happening in your project, business users are logging, raising wrong issues, and you're getting just maxed out of it. There was one particular project, guys, that I worked on, where this was a regular practice that business in UAT business users will log in a bunch of issues. They call it defects. Okay, this is not working. That is not working. This is when I read through the information. In some of the issues, half of the information is not there, so I have to call them up to check what they actually mean by it. In some of the cases, when information is there, they have done something that they are not supposed to do, and then they put a screenshot that the page has given an error. Like, for example, if it's a payment processing screen, we clearly indicate, please do not use your browser's back button or forward button. Please stay on the screen. The transaction is being processed, right? If you have made payments, you can understand there is some couple of seconds that is taken for the system to. Many times when that particular message is displayed, although it's explicitly written, business users will go and hit the back button or forward button, and then they say, we got an error. So all of this arises due to they not receiving proper training from the VA. That is the reason UAT demo is very, very important. Show them exactly what screen they have to focus on. Again, your UAT demo is something that has to be done very meticulously. Many times I've seen VAs during the demo, they end up showing modules that are irrelevant to that particular UAT. So you might be handling a very large application for the business users, but if in that particular sprint you have made changes only for 2 or 3 functionality, don't go here and there and show the other functionalities. They will get totally lost. Show them, be very focused in the demo and show them only those 2 functionalities which they are supposed to test. Okay. So schedule a UAT demo with business users, and the 4th step is manage UAT issues. When I say manage UAT issues, during the demo, you should tell the business users that if they find any defects, any issues, where they exactly are supposed to log in those issues, and how you are going to get back to them after going through those issues. Okay. So when you're managing UAT issues, whichever repository is being used in your project, keep a tab of that. As soon as a new issue is raised, you usually get a notification saying that a new issue has been raised in Jira or whatever tool that you're using. Go ahead and see that particular issue, understand it. And the next thing that you have to do is managing UAT issue means understand the issue, then try to replicate the issue. Replicate the issue means try to recreate it. Go follow the same steps and see if you can replicate the issue. If you can, that is, if yes, you can replicate the issue, then forward the same to your developer. But if you come to the conclusion, that is, if it's a no, that means if you come to the conclusion that this is not an issue, I'm not able to replicate it. This guy must have clicked on the wrong button or something. Next step that you should do is mail business user and inform them about it. If required, you can also have a call with them to further explain. And then if they agree that it is not an issue, then go ahead and close the. In this case, once you forward it to the developer, they will fix it and test it. Once business user tests it, okay. This is the flow that you have to keep in mind. Whenever a issue is reported by a business user, if you are able to replicate the issue, forward it to the developer along with the details. Developer will fix it and test it. Once it has been tested, pass it on to the business users. They will test the same and they will approve. And once they approve, close the issue. If you cannot replicate, then inform the business user immediately, either via email or call. And if they agree, it is not an issue, go ahead and close the issue. Okay. This is what we mean by managing UAT issues. And that's the reason, because BAs have such a big role to play in UAT. That's why we say managing UAT is one of the responsibilities of the BA. Then the last one, very important thing is UAT sign off. Very important part of BA's responsibility. So as a BA, you have to follow up with users who are doing testing and procure a sign off. Without a sign off, guys, the code cannot be deployed in the production environment. So typically, as a best practice, what I used to do is, through my experience, I had a clear idea that the UAT users usually keep all their work towards the end of the UAT phase. Okay, they if you give them 2 weeks for testing, you will see that the last 2 days maximum UAT users are testing. For the entire 2 weeks, nobody is testing the application. So through my experience, I used to constantly follow up with the users every 2 days to check on how much of UAT testing they have completed. It helped me close the UAT on a timely basis. So do that right from day one, guys. Don't sit till the last day thinking that the sign off is going to come automatically. It will not happen. And then your production timeline will have to be reworked. So if there is if we have to rework on the schedules, then again that results in escalations and things like that. So don't go in that direction. Chase the users and get a timely sign off. Many a times in the projects, I've got into this issue wherein my project manager was sitting on my head. Why is the UAT sign off not yet received? And I was like saying that I can't help it. I've been following from the past 2 days. Nobody's responding to my email, and it's not my fault. But that's not a correct way of handling it, guys. UAT is definitely your responsibility. You have to get in touch with the business users anyhow. Email, call, chase them up, and get it to closure. Now, what I'm going to show you are the two important artifacts that we create before the UAT starts: UAT test plan and UAT test cases. Let me just share my screen. Go to Business Analysis Hub. Everyone go to the documentation templates. That will have the test plan. If you go to requirement documentation templates, that is the course bundle. You will see a lot of templates are here. Towards the end, there is a template for UAT testing. The first template is UAT test plan. Let's have a look at that. Okay. Just click on it and download this file, UAT plan document, and we will. So what you're seeing on the screen, I believe everyone can see my screen, currently showing you the UAT plan document. Okay. This template you can use for your project. Just wherever I've indicated project name, replace it with the name of your project and the date and version number and all that. So now, the first couple of sections talk about what are the objectives of the UAT, what you're planning to achieve out of this UAT. The second section talks about the scope of the UAT. What does that mean? What are the modules that are supposed to be tested? So this can be a bulleted list where I can indicate, okay, login functionality has to be tested, the search engine has to be tested, blue card functionality has to be tested, add to wish list, whatever. I'm just adding some random features, okay? So I can say these functionalities have to be tested. And out of scope are the functionalities that will not be tested in this UAT. Let's say promotion and offers is one module that will not be tested. Testing of the home page is out of scope of this release. So you can indicate all. Just mention the names of the modules. There's no need to write elaborate description. In scope and out scope is just to set the boundaries, guys. Remember. Like I mentioned, the first section, UAT objectives, that will tell the business users clearly what they are supposed to achieve out of this UAT. Then you can put a list of UAT users, the business users who are going to test the application. Let's say Peter, let's put some dummy names here. Harry, Mike, Julia. You can mention their name, their email addresses, their role in the organization, what access level has been given to him. So several applications have different access, right? So suppose we want Peter to do administrator testing. So I have given him admin level of access. In some cases, I have given, say, Harry the creator level access. So again, indicate the level of access that that person has, okay? And what module he is responsible for testing. So if you have split the different modules across the different business users, you can indicate that. So let's say from our in-scope functionality, login and search is being tested by Peter. And view card is being tested by Harry. And add to wish list by someone else. I can split. I can do that. So this table is completely customizable. That means in your project, if you're not splitting the module across different people, then just remove this column. Okay. That means everybody is responsible for testing all the modules. UAT application link and access. Here you can give the URL that they should be using to start UAT. So let me put here URL for UAT has to be added over here. You'll get this URL from your technical team. Then again, I mentioned about the UAT demo. You can indicate here, UAT demo will happen on so-and-so date, so-and-so time. And the timelines for UAT, guys, very, very important. So you can just indicate whatever is the dates for your UAT. It's going to start on so-and-so date and end on so-and-so date, start date and end date. Then all members are requested to submit their findings by so-and-so date. Give them a target date, very, very important. If you are planning to close something by 7th of July, give them, tell them that I want all your sign off by the 6th of July. All testing should be completed by the 6th of July. UAT test scenarios is something that we're going to see in the next file. I'm going to attach a file over here. The section will have a Excel sheet with all the testing scenarios. Okay. So for now, leave this field empty. UAT support, here you can mention that who will be available for support when the business users are doing UAT. So if you are going to support, definitely mention your name or the person who, suppose you are the lead VA and the junior VA is going to support it. Then you can mention the name of the junior VA so that your business users know whom should they contact in case they face an issue. Again, UAT defect logging. This will give your business users clarity as to once they start testing and they find defects, where they should enter those defects. Very, very important. Many times BAs send an email to business users saying that UAT will start from tomorrow and here is the link, go ahead and test. But business users don't have any idea where they should enter their defects. So here clearly indicate that in case you're using the Jira tool, your project is using Jira tool for defects, then mention that, or whatever tool your project is using, that name should come here. And who is going to coordinate for the UAT sign off? And again, reiterate the target date. By so-and-so date, the UAT should be completed and sign off should be received. And if we fail to, I used to put this as a statement so that business users, it makes them a little more alert. That if we fail to receive a sign off by so-and-so date, we will have to defer the date for the production rollout. Okay? What happens when you put the statements, guys? It makes your UAT users more alert because they are also answerable to their senior management. If due to them, the production rollout dates were impacted, they are also questioned on that. So it's a good way to get a timely closure. So if you are already a BA and you have not been using a plan document like this, I would highly suggest go ahead and implement this in your project. You will see the results. Immediately in the next UAT, you will see the results because your UAT users will be more vigilant about what exactly they have to test. There will be no confusion. Many times in UAT, there is lots of confusion. So I hope everyone's clear on this UAT test plan. If you're clear, type CL in the chat box. If you're clear, type CL in the chat box. Yes, it's a pretty straightforward test plan, guys. And to create a UAT test plan, it will not take you more than 30 minutes. So go ahead and create this extra document, even if you have to do extra documentation. It will really help in your project. Let's go and open the next document now. Go to Business Analysis Hub, and the next document is UAT test cases. Just click on the document and download it. Now we are going to start writing UAT test cases. Okay. I believe everyone can see my screen. Now, again, let me tell you a disclaimer here. The test case format template will differ from project to project. In many cases, you might feel that in your project, they're using a slightly different template. If that is the case, then follow your project template. Okay? Some projects have their own inbuilt template, and the project managers might insist that we follow that template. So again, this UAT test cases template is completely customizable. You can add additional columns if you want to add some additional things. But net, I have included all the important columns. So for the first column, of course, is the test case ID, unique identifier that you want to give. And then I have included the module name. That is the name of the feature that has to be tested. In this case, we are testing the search feature when the user is trying to search using job title. So visualize yourself as a user of a job board. And the testing team is writing test scenarios for that. Search by job title. So the first scenario that we have indicated is user enters job title in the search engine box, in the search engine as business analyst. User selects Bengaluru city as a filter. Then what should be the response? System displays all business analyst jobs belonging to the Bengaluru city. So what ideally we include in a UAT test cases. What is the scope of UAT test case? Let me tell you that. Many times students ask me, test cases are supposed to be written by the testing team. Why is the BA writing test cases? Let's understand, SIT test cases are written by your testing team. UAT test cases are written by the BA. Now, why? What is the difference between SIT test case and UAT test case? SIT test case will include a very broad range of scenarios that have to be tested. But UAT test cases will be a small set of scenarios which have to be tested by the business users. Many students ask me that the testing team is responsible for writing test cases, then why should we write the UAT test cases? And what is the significance of having a separate test pack? So let me clear that. I believe everyone can see my screen right now. Okay, great. So this is the screen of a jobs board, naukri.com. What I've done is I've just clicked on the login now button and the login screen is displayed. Let's say we're taking this as an example, okay? So let's say your testing team has to write SIT test cases for covering this functionality. So what will be the test scenarios that your testing team will write about? First test scenario, user enters email ID, password. User enters correct email ID, password, and clicks on login. The system should allow him to log into the system. First scenario. Second scenario, user enters incorrect email ID, password, and clicks on submit. System should display a message. Email ID or password was not found in the database. Please recheck. Third scenario, user leaves the email ID or password field blank and clicks on login. Again, system should display the appropriate message. Then there is this forgot password. So you write test scenarios for forgot password also. They will write test scenarios for OTP. There is an option of OTP login. How the OTP login is going to work. There will be a bunch of test scenarios for that also. And sign in with Google. When what if the user clicks on sign in with Google? What is the next screen that should be displayed and all of that? So you'll see the SIT team or your testing team will have a huge list of test scenarios to test one particular module. That module might be very small, but they will have a huge set of test scenarios covering every small nitty-gritties about it. Hmm. Even my testing team used to add test cases for check if the register for free link is working. Hmm. To check if the register for link is placed on the right side of the screen. So they also include test scenarios which involve testing of cosmetics on the screen also. So that's the reason their bank of test cases is very huge. That's quality testing, right? But when it comes to UAT, does the business user need to test all these conditions? Yes or no? Type in the chat box. All of these scenarios that I just told you for this single login screen, do they need to test all of this? No. The answer is no. They don't need to test all of this. Because if they are testing all of this again, then it's redundancy, right? You're repeating the work that the testing team has done. Then might as well remove the testing team, ask the business users only to do the testing, right? The whole purpose of having a quality team is to have someone who can monitor the quality that is delivered to the customer. And once the quality team approves it, then it goes to the customer, right? If the customer is sitting and doing all the testing, he is paying you money and you are maxing him out. You are stressing him out, isn't it? So your business users or customers, they will not check all of these scenarios. But of course, they have to do testing. In order to approve, they have to do testing. So as a BA, you have to pick up a handful of scenarios which are very crucial for the application. You have to pick up a handful of scenarios which are very, very crucial, and you feel this has to be tested by the business user. I want him to see it once and approve it. That only a BA can decide, right? Testing team will not be able to decide which are those crucial ones. So for if suppose I'm the BA working on this particular screen, for this particular screen, I will ask my customer to check what happens if when the user enters a correct email ID and password. That means I want to test whether the login functionality is working correctly. The positive scenario, that's a positive scenario testing. So he enters a correct email ID password. He is able to log into the system. Pass. That means the one level of approval. And then I ask him to do one check of forgot password. Click on the forgot password link and request for a new password. Check that particular flow if that's working. Check one flow for OTP login if that's going to work. One particular scenario. And check if signing with Google is working. Again, one scenario, which means all the other scenarios that I just mentioned, wherein the user leaves email ID blank, password blank, I'm not asking the business users to do that. My testing team will do that. I pick up one crucial test scenario from every flow. From every flow, I pick up just one and ask the business user to test it so that they can approve it. Got it? So don't give your business users a very huge, don't take the same test cases that your testing team has prepared and send it to business users. You will go mad. Then you will never get a sign off from them because they will be busy testing such a huge pack. And when you give, the other thing is when you give your business users such a huge pack to test, they will never get it done. Got it, guys? What are we going to ask our business users to test? Only very crucial scenarios. Just for the approval. Rest scenarios have to be tested by your testing team. All the scenarios which involve some special character testing, your testing team will do all kind of those kind of testings also, right? Wherein the user enters junk values, the user enters special characters. If a particular field is if a particular field accepts only characters, your testing team will add numerical values and see what happens. Business users don't need to do all of that testing. So all your field level testing and all, ask your testing team to do it. Don't involve your business users in that kind of testing. Allow them. So this is the scope, guys. Understand. There's a lot of confusion as to why two people are doing this testing. Why should we do it? But it's not the same testing. Understand, guys. We have to ask business users to test because we need their approval before we can push it to production. And when we need their approval, we are not going to max them out. We are not going to stress them out, asking them to test the entire functionality. Clear on this, guys? Type CL if you're clear. Great. That's great. So that's the scope I wanted to show you. Coming back to this UAT test cases, we were discussing the different fields that should be added in this test case template. So when you're giving a UAT demo for your business users, walk them through this test scenarios also. Tell them that the third column contains the different steps that they have to follow. And the steps should be very, very simple for them to follow. Like I have mentioned here, enter job title in the search engine as business analyst, or whatever you want to enter. You can indicate the data that has to be entered. And enter city as Bangalore city. And then the expected result, system will display all jobs belonging to that particular city. That is the expected result. Now, there are two columns also here where I've indicated pass or fail, screenshot, and remarks, additional comments. Okay. So in pass or fail column, the business users usually indicate if the test has passed, they indicate pass, or they indicate it as fail. This they do while they are testing. So at the time when you are sending them the test case, these fields will be blank. These three fields will be blank. This is something that they will fill in. Or, like I mentioned, if you're asking your business users to enter the defects in the Jira tool, then if suppose your business users are well versed of how to use Jira, if they know that, then they will directly enter their defects over there. Then they will not fill in this columns. Okay, they will directly enter their defects over there and assign it to you so that you can check it. So whatever is followed in your project. So this is very crucial, guys. Whenever you are giving steps to the business users, open the application, keep the application open in front of you. And even though you might be very well versed with the application, but many times what happens is when we write test cases, we miss out on some crucial words. Like, for example, if you want to say that enter email address and password, and click on, you might mention in the test case, enter email address and password and click on submit. Actually, in the application screen, the button name might be login. So this is a small error that you have made while writing the test case. But you know what will happen? The business users will return it back to you saying that we did not find the submit button. This happens many times. If any of you are already working as BAs, you will agree with the fact that the business users literally go word by word based on what we have written in the test case. So if the button name is login, mention it as login, don't mention it as submit. That's the reason I tell my students that when you're writing test cases, have the application open in front of you so that you can see the button names, you can see the link names, and accordingly you can add in your test case. So this is a very simple test scenarios that we have listed over here, which gives you an idea as to how a particular job search engine can be tested. So we have just included two criteria here: user who is trying to search for a remote job, and user is trying to search based on a job title. Two different scenarios. Everyone clear on the UAT test cases? Because you just need to, in UAT test cases, you just need to write the test steps. There's nothing high fun on that. So now let's come to the otherwise, let's do a UML diagram. How many of you ready to do some diagram using visual paradigm? Use case diagrams. Have you explored the use case diagram so far? I don't think so. Let's do some use case diagrams today. So I want each one of you to go to the visual paradigm link, which I had given you during the first few sessions. If you don't have that link, go to the Business Analysis Hub. Inside the Career Growth Funnel, you will see the visual paradigm link. Many of you must have already bookmarked it. So directly go to the visual paradigm link if you have bookmarked it. Let me load that particular page. And we will say, see use case diagrams today. How many of you have worked on use cases? Type me in the chat box if you have worked on use cases before, use case diagrams. I've handled that. No one for use case diagrams. Okay, great. Good that we're doing today. Let me share my screen. We are going to do a very, very simple use case diagram. Use case diagrams can get very, very complex. Today, we will see a very simple one. If you are in this dashboard, click yes, type yes if you have reached this dashboard. And you can click on the use case diagram. Create blank, okay? Select create blank and it will load the next screen. Just coming up. So now be very attentive, guys, and do this, complete this use case diagram along with me in the class. Okay. In the use case diagram, we have several entities in a use case diagram. The first entity is actor. Keep in mind, we have actors, we have use cases, we have system boundary, and then we have the flow that is connecting all of that. Okay. Let me do one. So here we, like I said, we will do a simple one. So we will draw a use case diagram for an ATM machine. Let's say your customer is a bank, and the bank wants to develop a software that's going to run in their ATMs. It will obviously allow the customers to withdraw cash, deposit cash, and various activities. Okay. So now we have to first identify in a use case diagram. We have to first identify who are the actors. That means the users who are going to use that particular application. Tell me, for a ATM, bank ATM, who is the actor? Who is the user? So what did I do is I just dragged this symbol. Let me do it once again if you have not seen it. Since I've identified the first actor, I drag the stick symbol. Stick symbol is used to denote an actor. I just rename it as, okay, customer. Are there any other actors who uses the ATM machine, guys? Do you think besides the customer, somebody uses it? Can you think of anyone else who uses the ATM software? There is one more person who comes to the ATM on a regular basis, besides the customer. Okay, let me put another actor over here. And let me call him the ATM technician or the maintenance guy, whatever you want to name him. This is the person who comes to reload the cash. Now he can, in certain cases, he is the employee of the bank, or he might not be even the employee. In some banks, this entire activity of loading the cash has been outsourced to another agency. So it differs. We don't need to worry about that. We don't need to get into that. So we call him the ATM technician, and we put him over here. Now in use case diagrams, guys, there's a concept of primary actor and a secondary actor. What does a primary actor do? A primary actor is a person who directly interacts with the application, just people like you and me. They are the people who directly use the ATM application. So customer and ATM technician are the primary actors. Now, what does the secondary actor do? Secondary actor can be any system that interacts in the background, that interacts with your ATM application in the background. So in this case, it's our bank database, right? Because every transaction that we make in the ATM, it goes and checks against the bank database to see if the transaction is an authentic transaction, can be approved. That is the reason the bank as an entity or the bank database becomes a secondary actor. Secondary actors are those who do not directly interact with the application, but indirectly interact. This is a background actor. Understood so far, guys? Actors, everyone is clear on that? Type CL. Yes, so we have identified. Now what I'm going to do is I have to now identify use cases in the sense I'm supposed to identify what kind of modules will be accessible to whom, what features will be accessible to whom. So what I can do is I can select the customer as an actor. Do it along with me, guys. As soon as you select the stick symbol, you'll get these 4 arrows on different corners. And just pull this arrow. You will get a connection point over here. can connect it to a use case. What is a use case? Use case is denoted by this oval shaped symbol. And inside this use case, I'm going to write the name of the features. Means what functionality is available to that actor. Can anybody tell me in the ATM machine, what are the different functionalities that are included? Can you name the functionalities? Just list the functionalities. Yes, correct. I was waiting for that. So let's talk about what all different activities we can do in the AD software. Withdraw cash is one such use case. You can increase the size and all, guys, by using just pulling around the edges. You can increase the size. What are the other functionalities that are available to the actor? Add another use case. Let's do one thing, guys. Sometimes the alignment becomes a little issue in this. So just add, let's first go ahead and add the use case and then let's draw the connections. We can do that also. Withdraw cash, then something. In some ATMs, we have deposit cash also. So we'll put that also as one option. Change pin. Then let's say apply for loans. What else can we think of? Yes, transfer, that's correct. Transfer funds. Okay. So we have identified a bunch of features that will be accessible to the end customer. Okay? There can be more depending upon your ATM functionality. There can be more, much more. We'll end it here. Now let's identify some functionalities for this ATM technician. So one obvious use case that comes to your mind is the load cash. He's the person who comes to load cash in the ATM. Next, let's say fix issues. If the ATM is down or anything like that, it's not working, any maintenance related activity he has to do, that is fix issues. Okay. One thing, if you have observed, is in all of these use cases, I have started the name of the use case with a verb, okay, followed by a noun. This is the standard format that we have to follow in all the use cases. Okay. Start with a verb followed by a noun. Your use case names should not be more than 2 words or say max 3 words. Okay. We usually try to confine it to two words. Don't write sentences over there. Then that's not a use case diagram. Keep it to 2 words or max if the name of that feature is big, it can be 3 words, not more than that. So the thumb rule is start with a verb and follow it with a noun. Now that we have listed these use cases, we have to draw connections. So like I said, how we draw the connection. Just need to pull the connection symbol from the actor and just join it to the respective use case. Okay. Just highlight the actor and you get this arrows. Likewise, you can go ahead and join all of these use cases. Do the similar exercise with ATM technician. ATM technician will only connect to these two use cases: load cash and fix issues. Okay, because the ATM technician does not have access to the other modules. Now, one question which obviously comes in most of my master classes is that why there was one student who mentioned why the ATM technician should be an actor over here. So the reason that we have included him as an actor is, if you have observed the process of loading cash into an ATM, you will see whenever this guy comes to load cash, once he is done with loading the cash, he invokes a blue screen, the administrator screen, and he has to add some data over there. What is done in the what happens in the background is, once this technician he loads the cash, he has to sign on to the administrator screen, and he has to enter how much cash has been loaded, what is the denomination that he loaded, on which date, and all of that. After which the system will calibrate, the system will recheck, count the cash, and give him a notification that it tallies with the amount that he has entered. And the same information will be sent to the bank database that ABC ATM has been so much has been uploaded with so and so cash. This is the amount of currency that has been loaded in that particular ATM on so and so date, so and so time. Okay. Now, if your company is developing the ATM software for the bank, then along with the customer screens, you have to develop the screen for the ATM technician also, right? The administrator screen, you have to develop it for him. How will he come and do the load cash functionality if you don't give him that screen? Similarly, whenever there are any maintenance issues in the ATM is not working, is down, system failure, the technician comes and reboots the system and fixes whatever issue it is, and then they invoke again the administrator console and indicate in the administrator console what was the type of issue and who fixed it, when it was fixed, and all of that. Again, the details are sent to the bank. Okay. So that is a second screen that has to be developed. Because these are also two additional screens that have to be developed by your company. That is the reason this guy is there in the use case diagram. That is the reason ATM technician is also a part of the use case diagram. Let's say we don't have to develop any screens for him, then definitely we don't have to include him in the use case diagram. Okay. I hope this point is very clear. If you are still trying to figure out why exactly have we included ATM technician. All of these use cases, guys, will connect to the bank database also, because each of these activities, like I said, will, when you're performing each of these transactions, it will be continuously checking with the bank database to see if the particular transaction can be allowed or not. For example, when you withdraw cash, it will check to see what is your account balance and how much is the amount that you're requesting. The amount requested must be lesser than the amount that you have in your account, right? And what is your daily limit? All of that information stored in the bank database. And there's a lot of to and fro, even though we don't realize that there's a lot of data exchanged between the bank database and the ATMs, after which our transaction is approved. That is the reason each of this will go and connect to the bank database. Similarly, the load cache will also go and connect. Okay, like I said, the bank database has to be updated whenever the cache is loaded into the ATM. Giving me so many options. Just a minute. Have you completed this diagram along with me? How many of you have completed this diagram? Type me if you have completed this diagram. Nobody has completed so far. I'm just waiting. Okay, I'll wait. No problem. Connect the dots. I'll wait. No problem. There might be a slight problem connecting these lines when you're doing it for the first time. And also, like right now, I don't have my mouse pad with me. The actual mouse, I don't have that. I'm using the laptop mouse. Many times when you draw the diagram using this laptop mouse pad, that I'm also pulling these lines and everything, getting it aligned together becomes a little difficult. So if you have an external mouse connected, it becomes relatively easy to use these diagramming tools. I'll just, the last thing that you have to do is drag the system boundary and place it here. Just give me a moment. I'll do that and show you. Meanwhile, draw these diagrams, draw these lines, guys. Mouse is a little stuck. When you're done with the diagram, definitely tell me. Good. Now finishing the diagram. So what I did as the last set of activity is I just clicked on the system boundary and placed it here on top of these use case boxes, oval shaped use case box. If you're wondering how I've done that, let me show you once again. Can't do that. See, this is the diagram without the system boundary. What did I do is I just dragged this over here. When you drag it, it will naturally cover the use case boxes. No, don't worry about that. Just pull it till the length that you need it, to the height, get it to an appropriate height. Then select it and do a right click. When you do a right click, you get order. Go to order and select send to back. Let me show once again. Right click, order, and send to back. When you click on send to back, it will place the system boundary behind the use case boxes, and you'll be able to see the use case box. Got it? Hope everyone's with me so far. So this is how your final use case diagram looks like. You can also do if this, if you feel placing the system boundary becomes a little bit of a challenge for you towards the end, you can also start your diagram with the system boundary. Okay? When once you place the actors, then put the system boundary and then place the use cases. You can do that also, not a problem. What is the significance of a system boundary? System boundary tells you that the actors are outside the application and these functionalities, withdraw cash, deposit cash, change pin, this functionality is inside the application. Okay? That's the system boundary, which draws a line between the external actors and the functionality included in the application. Everyone done? Type done in the chat box if you're done so that I can move to the other assignments. Otherwise, I'll wait for a couple of minutes because I want everyone to sync up. Finish this activity and sync up with me. Meanwhile, as others are completing this particular diagram, let me explain some more things about it. So you can keep your ears open so that you can listen to what I'm saying. If you're thinking where exactly a BA should be using this diagram, how many of you are thinking that where exactly should I use it and why should I draw this diagram? Okay, all of you who have completed this diagram, just export it in the form of JPEG or PDF, whatever format, and put it in the exam simulator. Okay, just upload all your deliverables so that you don't lose any artifact that you're developing in the masterclass. So keep doing that. Don't close the screen without saving it. So coming back to my original question, if you're thinking where exactly you should use, BAs use use case diagrams when at a very initial stage of the requirements, I would say. We draw these diagrams so that we can get a clarity as to which actors have access to what kind of functionality. Let's say your application, you're building a global application for a large investment bank, and there are different types of users who will be accessing the application. Okay, there are different teams accessing different within the teams itself. There are different roles given to different team members. When you are dealing with this kind of an application, guys, the complexity of these applications is very high. Hmm? So at an initial stage, when you're gathering requirements from the customer, your first step would be to understand who is doing what in the system. Before we get into details of the requirements, that means in this case, before I ask them how the withdraw cash functionality is going to work, what are the first couple of parameters that will be entered by the user, before I get into all of those discussions, I need to understand this functionality will be accessed by what kind of users and what exactly they are supposed to do with that particular feature, right? Like in this case, we have done a very simple use case, simple screen. If you are building a complex application for a bank, there are different, you'll see that your use case diagrams has 5 to 6 actors here on the front end and back end, also several different systems interacting with this application. So use case diagram is used, these kind of modeling diagrams are used to break that complexity. So once you develop the use case diagram and show it to your customer becomes very clear who has access to what, and you as a BA, you have clarity as to what functionality will be accessible to what role. Okay. Now, if you're doing a simple application, there's no need to do a use case diagram. So it is not mandatory to do use case diagram for every project that you work in. In several projects, I have just skipped this. I have not done it. Only for complex applications, like I said, wherever there are multiple roles, multiple access levels, permissions given to different types of roles, different types of users, use case diagram is very beneficial to show all of that. Got it, guys? I hope everyone's with me so far. That's really great. So from use case diagram, now in use case diagram, there is also a concept of relationships, which, like I said, use case which generally increases the complexity of the use case diagram. So we have different types of relationships in use case diagrams and things like that. I will show you the relationship between different use cases after we have a short break. So after that, we will discuss the complexities involved in the relationship between use cases. For now, let's look at a data flow diagram. Has anyone worked with the data flow diagram so far? Have you worked on a data flow diagram? Just open one. Okay, so now let's take a look at FRD. Let's look at the data flow diagram. Here, I found the DFT example. On your screen right now, what you're seeing is data flow diagram. Now, what is the data flow diagram? Obviously, as the name suggests, it indicates the flow of data within your system. It is going to show how the data is flowing in the system. Now, if you are a functional BA, you will need the help of a technical person to draw this diagram. If you're coming from a technical background, then you can do it on your own. That's not an issue. But functional BAs, generally do not get involved in drawing DFTs. It is their technical team who creates the data flow diagrams. Okay. You can, however, if you are asked to do it, you can definitely do it with the help of your technical team member. So don't worry if you're asked to do it. Let me show you a very simple data flow diagram, something that you can relate with. Now, the first thing that you have to understand are the different components of a data flow diagram. The circles that you're seeing on the screen, the circles tell you that the circles denote a process within the system. The square box is an external entity. External entity can be customer or any other system. Okay, square boxes indicate that. And the rectangular box, the half rectangular box that you're seeing, that is a data store or a database. Okay? And obviously the lines are the connectors, the flow line connectors. So let's see the help of an example and you'll understand. On your screen right now, what you're seeing is a Netflix data flow diagram. So how we have to read it? Let me tell you that. Don't look here and there. Just follow what I'm showing you on the screen. Just follow that. Your flow starts from the external entity. That is the Netflix user. People like you and me who are using Netflix. So the flow starts from the external entity. What does the user do? The first, there are two flows. If you see, there are two flows going from the external entity. Okay. Let's go towards one flow. So let's say the Netflix user wants to update his subscription, pay for a subscription. He has to renew it. So he enters his account details. So that is the data that's going to the process called as pay subscription fee. Okay. Netflix user enters his account details. The data is shown over there. Pay subscription module is invoked. And pay subscription passes on the user's account details and it connects with the bank database. Okay. It connects with the bank. Again, a bank is an external entity, so it's shown in a square shape box. Now the bank will verify information. So there will be an information exchange, data exchange back and forth to verify the user, after which the bank will issue a confirmation of payment. This will go and hit another module in the Netflix application, which is called as generate customer receipt. It will generate a customer receipt and send it to the Netflix user. Either show it on the screen or send an email to him, whatever. So this flow is the entire flow is the flow that is included within the Netflix application. Understand, guys? We're trying to understand how this application of Netflix works. As customers, we are not able to see what happens, but this is how the data is exchanged between different systems. So we finished one flow, okay, where the user is trying to pay for subscription. Another flow goes in the direction, from left to right. Netflix user logs in. When he logs in, his details are passed to a login module. Login process. The login process checks against the user database. That is the database I showed you in the first screen is shown in the form of a rectangular box. It verifies or checks against the user database to see whether he's an authentic user, correct user, and what is the account type. So there might be different account types to different users, standard users, prime users, different users. That account type is passed back to the login process. After the login, what does the user next do? He tries to search for a movie, right? So user search is triggered, which goes and hits a process called as search. You see, search movie. Now, search movie in turn searches for data in the movie database. Goes and connects to the movie database to see if that movie is there within the database. If it is there, it fetches the movie details and goes and invokes a process called as view movie details. That means we can see in our Netflix screen that all the details of that movie. It will show the thumbnail image of the movie along with details of a small snippet of the story and all of that. After which, view movie details, once the user sees the movie details, let's say he likes it, he wants to go ahead and view it. He clicks on that particular movie. So that means movie selected, which triggers another process called as watch movie. And the flow ends. That means at the end result that the user wanted to achieve was watch a particular movie of his choice. So this is a data flow diagram for the Netflix. So each and every processes that are indicated in this diagram are processes that are included within the application. That means this is code related information, guys. Names of those processes, we can't give any names to those processes. The names of those processes should come from your technical team. That's the reason I said your technical team will give you inputs about what happens when the user keys in this particular information, goes and calls which process. After this process, which is the other process that's called. Okay. So once you sit with your technical team, you will be able to draw this particular diagram. Clear on this, guys? I hope data flow diagrams is very clear. So don't worry too much about it. Functional BAs, like I said, usually don't get involved in data flow diagrams, but even if you get involved, it's not a big deal. You can draw it. In my YouTube channel, there is a video that shows a very, very simple data flow diagrams. You can, if anytime you want to, again, get more information on data flow diagrams, you can go and watch that particular video. Now, today we are going to play the techniques crossword, right? So what I'm going to do is, I want each one of you to log into the exam simulator, guys. Right now, log into the exam simulator. And let me show you the screen. This is our exam simulator, right? The link to the exam simulator is there in, again, the career growth funnel. There is a section in the exam simulator, the second last section. So scroll, and go down. There's a section called as It's Fun Time. It's Fun Time contains a whole list of some games that we have included to simplify complex topics. Okay. I want you to click on this techniques glossary, the first item. And the techniques glossary has been extremely useful for all my students who wish to, you want to clear the ACB exam. It gives one-line explanation of what exactly the technique is all about. Okay? But of course, we have to get more detailed and learn the techniques factor further. But this is a starting point for the techniques. This will make you feel that you are in a good position to identify the right technique. I'm going to give you around 10 minutes to briefly go through the techniques glossary. I don't want you to memorize the entire definition, but just glance through the definition and catch up some keywords for those definitions. Because in the crossword that we are going to play in the class, there will be hints given about our particular technique. There will be clues given about a particular technique, and you have to fill in the crossword with the right name of the technique. So identify the correct technique. That is the game. Identify what is the correct name of the technique. So do not, like I said, do not memorize the entire definition. Nobody is going to ask you for definition. But you can remember certain keywords which will point to that particular technique. So there is page number 1, page number 2, and 3. 10 minutes, just revise, and we'll play this crossword. Okay. Get started, guys. 3 pages are there. Remember, go through all these 3 pages. 1, 2, and 3. This is a summarization of all the techniques that we have learned so far. I want to see how much you remember. Everyone ready with the techniques? Type me in the chat box if you're ready. Don't memorize the definition, guys. Just keep in mind some keywords that will be helpful for your ECB exam also. Great. Now what you're going to do is come out of that glossary, come to the main page here, this one time, and click on the next item, techniques crossword. When you click on this, it will, give you an option to start the crossword. Here I have made previous attempt. That's why it's showing me the screen. For you, it will not show the summary of previous attempts. Okay. It will give you a continue button. Click on that. And it will show you this crossword. Just below the crossword, there are clues given. Like across, two across. And the hint is given. Little bit of the alignment which shows there. But I think you can figure it out. Two across, a technique that's used to compare organization practice. Six across, an excellent idea generation technique. 11, a technique used to elicit information by viewing and understanding. It's pretty straightforward, guys. So be very honest, guys. Don't keep the glossary open and solve the crossword. But it's a very interesting way to, very fun way of memorizing techniques. Then we have all the, after you finish across, you have down. All the items that, all the techniques that are. So go in a sequence, even if you want to jump from one number to the other, you can do that. Each one of you must have solved crosswords. It will be. So as you type the name, it will give you an option to enter the keywords that you suppose I enter a wrong name. This correct word contains 7 letters. So those kind of notifications you will get. It will guide you. The crossword will guide you that you have entered something wrong. So I'll give you 10 minutes, solve this crossword. I want you to come back and tell me how many techniques you were able to identify. Come on, guys. 10 minutes and let's solve this crossword.